Recording in progress.
Okay, that's our cue. We're ready to get started. Welcome. Sorry if you haven't found a seat. There ought to be some seats so we could probably pull out from the back there. Are there more seats back there that we could pull out? If you're interested in a seat, we could probably pull out some from back there. Otherwise, if you'd like to stand, we will not keep this to be very long. We'll try to keep this pretty short and to the point, and also get time to answer your questions this evening. So yeah, if you would like to have some time for individual Q&A, that's great. We'll be around as long as you're here this evening. But if you feel like something would be helpful to the whole group, please feel free to ask to the whole group as we get to some Q&A here in just a minute. Okay, so my name's Corey, by the way. I'm the Innovation Director for Iron County School District, and I help with Launch High School. We also have our principal, Mr. Schofield, right over here.
I'm just gonna turn the heat on. Over here. Sorry about that.
And then we have our counselor, Miss Deborah Campos, who is right here with us as well.
A lot of the students that I saw last week. So
Yeah, we got a chance to meet many of your students at their boundary schools for their middle school and get to talk to them. So that's probably why you're here. We apologize if they came home very excited and all that. That's kind of what we do though. So, all right, we'll talk just a little bit about launch. I wanted to start by saying a few of the pieces of logistical information, I guess, that you might need to know when it comes to attending launch. Here at Launch High School, we teach the core subjects primarily. So we're teaching math, science, language arts, and social studies in a way that's very unique and different. So your student comes here for an A day or a B day as part of their high school schedule. They'll come for the whole A day or the whole B day. And that other day, let's say they come here on A day, the other B day, they could attend their boundary high school for all their electives like PE or other things. Or they could do those things online. That's their option, okay, to do their elective courses wherever they'd like. But they'll take their core with us if they're selected and choose to come to Launch High School. They can still do all their sports and activities at their boundary high school. That's no problem. They can do that. There's even a bus that would take them from Candy View High School or from Cedar High School to here every morning. So they can take the bus from their house, get to Cedar High, let's say, grab the shuttle, if you will, that takes them. It's just another bus that takes them over here each morning. And then right back at the end of the day, again, we start a little bit later to accommodate for that at 8:15, and we end a little bit earlier at 2:20. So if students would like to just be dropped off here or be picked up from here, that's an option too. Okay, so those are a couple of things, just logistical things to get out of the way first. One of the questions you might have is, why might this school be the right fit for my student, or is it the right fit for my student? And there are a couple of key pieces that are unique about the school that we're just going to touch on briefly and spend most of this time. Most of your students likely saw a similar presentation, so we won't go into all the details there, but I'll answer any questions you have. This piece is important, however. There are four kind of main differences between what we do here and what is done anywhere else in Iron County. And that is, students are able to move ahead as quickly as they're able. So in any other school, there is a set pace, whether that's a really extremely fast pace, maybe at schools like Success Academy, every student is going through at a faster pace with a lot of homework to try to keep up with that pace, or in a traditional school where we're trying to get through a typical quarter's worth of material in a quarter. Or there may be other options in the school district that are a little slower. Here, students are able to move at a pace as quickly as they're able to show us that they've mastered the concepts. Once they have, they receive credit and they move on, and they don't receive credit until they've mastered those concepts. So that's a unique part. It's called competency-based education, meaning once you are competent, you move on and not until. So that's kind of the foundation of the school. In order to achieve that, the instruction here is very personalized. We have students at all sorts of different places, right? In their curriculum, they may be years ahead, they may be slightly behind, okay? We work with those students to help them and to move, at the pace that they're trying to move at to get to their goals. And so you get a lot of individualized instruction from teachers. You get the opportunity to work with individuals that you're close with. If you've got friends or whatnot and you like to work together, there's a lot of opportunity for that here at the school. One other component that you might be interested in the school is, if you are interested in your student learning maybe more skills to help them with their communication, with their life skills, if you will, to try to be able to creatively solve problems or take critical feedback or be resilient when they come up against a challenge. Those are things that generally most parents want for their children. And so throughout a project process, we're teaching those skills explicitly as well as implicitly through what they take on in their projects. And they can really take on a project that's of interest to them, whatever their passion is or something they want to solve or explore a little bit further. That's kind of how the project process works here at the school. They go through a process that teaches them those skills to apply to what they're interested into. Okay, and then lastly, this idea of preparing for college. This space and the rest of school, which we'll be able to tour you around later, is very flexible. The learning environment's flexible. A lot about it is self-directed. And the reason I say that is because when you exit a traditional high school, you're going to need to have that kind of responsibility, that taking initiative, idea of being self-directed. There's nobody that's going to call home if, for example, they don't go to their college class, right? And there's certainly nobody that's going to hassle you further if you don't hit the ground running when it comes to starting your own business or whatever you decide to do after high school. And so we want to teach students that skill in a scaffolded, structured environment where they have advisors and coaches to help them to learn that skill of self-direction and taking initiative and being responsible so that they're prepared for college, as well as so they're competent in the academics, like I mentioned earlier, right? They need to be competent in the main topics of the course before they move on, and that does help them be prepared for college. And so that's a little bit about why you might be interested in this school, okay? And we like to point out that students and parents may be interested if those are the things they want. They want to move ahead as quickly as they're able to, not the speed of the class, or they want to be able to manage their own time and set their own schedule and set their own goals and achieve those. Or they'd like to decide what kind of projects they spend a lot of their time working on. It's about half their time here at the school that they decide what kind of projects they would like to work on and who they would like to work with. If those things meet your student, then this might be the right place. It may not be the right place, however, if, for example, in many traditional schools, your grade is kind of in some ways padded with homework assignments and worksheets and other things that you just pass in for credit. That's just not what's done here at Launch High School. There's only simply 4 things that you need to show us that you're competent in every quarter here at the school for every class. Once you show us that you know those 4 things, whether that's in the testing center or the paper or whatever other method that you choose, once you show us you know those things, you get credit, you move on. It's not about this kind of other stuff that allows you to just maybe scoot by with like a D. We just don't offer that at the school. So that might be something to discuss with your student. Or if the student would not enjoy working on something like a project because half their time is going to be spent on that, we're here to help them with that, to learn the skills they need, to even provide ideas and structures for them if they need help with those projects. But they will engage in those as part of what they do here for about half their time. Or if they don't feel like they could manage their own time, even with advisors and coaches helping them to set priority tasks each day and set goals and work through what they need to work on each day. If that's something that's out of the realm of possibility for your student, then this may not be the right place. Maybe it's better off to have a place that has like a bell that rings every 45 minutes to an hour and moves them on to the next class and the next assignment, because we just don't offer that here. And if your student would be uncomfortable talking to a teacher one-on-one, then this might also not be the right place for them. This is how all the instruction is done here at Launch. There's very little that's done in a large group, certainly not as large as this. And it's usually in very small group interactions that a lot of the instruction is done. So if that is uncomfortable for your student, then again, maybe a different model might be better for them. So hopefully that helps you kind of get an idea. I'll show you a couple quick other things and then we'll get to questions, okay? So I mentioned PACE. Some of our students, by the way, have moved into graduating in their junior year. Early into their junior year, they've met all the requirements for high school and they've decided to graduate and move on, go to a college or leave to the military or start their own business, and that's their prerogative. Others have decided once they've met all their high school requirements, they're going to take advantage of still being a high school student and get a free or reduced option for college classes. And so they can take as many college classes as they would like while they're here and finish up to their associate's degree or more if they would like while they're still here, okay? So that's just kind of a glimpse into the PACE aspect of it. It's very personalized, like I mentioned here, just a couple of quick figures, if you will. We have 9 teachers here at the school, mostly in the core subjects. but we have a special educator as well as a CTE teacher who helps with the makerspace aspect that you're seeing here. And then a counselor and a social worker and part-time coaches that help support and tutor students as well. So there's only 100 students that come here on a given day. We have 200 total that come to launch, 100 on an A day and 100 on a B day. And so you can see that that kind of interaction is going to be very personalized, right? Consider 1 to 10 or 11 students with each teacher here in the space, plus more adults to help support them. It's a lot of individualized attention for your student, which is a great thing. In addition to the opportunity they have to, most of the time, if they are ahead or on pace in their classwork, they can sit wherever they would like, work with who they would like to. If they start to get behind, we provide more structures and supports. And so they may not get to choose where they sit. They may have to be in a certain space at a certain time working on a certain subject. But if they're able to manage their own time and schedule, they have a lot of freedom and flexibility here, which adds to kind of the personalized, empowering experience here at the school. Projects, you might be wondering, like, what kind of projects do students take on? Like I said, it's for half or more of their time. We have students taking on all sorts of projects here at the school, whether that's in film, right? Maybe they want to explore something in film, or they're interested in something in robotics, or they want to create something. Like we had students with the 3D printers that were just running right before Mrs. Cofield had shut off, right? We've got students who created this element called string savers that would save their hoodie strings from being lost in the wash, and patent and sold those. You know, we've had students invent and sell all sorts of different stuff, working on robotics and mechanical engineering pieces, working with local businesses. One on the radio that I shared this morning was a student who worked with Metalcraft to kind of, you know, the Metalcraft wanted to value their employees a little bit more, and they didn't know how to do it. Do we do like an employee wall of the month or whatever? And this student talked to all the employees, and it turned out that they just really wanted a better break space. And so she designed a break space for them with their input, and then the company built it. And those are an example of some of the projects that we have that we partner with local businesses on, those type of pieces. We've worked with other local organizations like the DNR and the DWR outdoors. We've had students create and build their own electric guitars or skateboards, or I mean, really the possibilities are endless. The process they go through is the same each time to learn the kind of skills we want them to learn, but the products can be very different. So I've asked your students, and they might tell you, I asked most of them when we met, what kind of thing would you want to work on? And often I just get to kind of give a relay of feedback back to them, like, yeah, we can do something like that. We can work with you on that and encourage them as part of what they're passionate about to incorporate that. Lastly, this idea of preparation for college. I mentioned a couple things. One is that we use a competency-based model. In each of our classes, they're built in Canvas, so you can see them at home. You can observe what's expected. You can see when your students have passed and completed the aspects of each of those. They complete 4 modules in Canvas, showing that they understand the 4 key concepts of that class, that quarter. And once they've done that, and they've met the criteria for that, often it's like an 80% or higher threshold with as many retakes or opportunities that they need to get there. Once they've done that, they're generally very competent in our subjects. And part of the reason we know that is because we see our end of level scores, ACT and other scores, much higher than the rest of the school district. On average, between 15 and 30% higher than the district or state average. And so our students perform very well, and it's actually about doing less well than about doing a lot, passing in things, and you know what I mean, that prepares them for these kind of end of level assessments as well as college. That is about it, you guys. That's what I've got here for us. I'm going to replay this just really quickly. I have a couple of videos that you may have seen, and I've played on the entry, that will play again as we take some people up for a tour that you can watch in case you're not wanting to follow 100 people through a tour of the building. Okay, that you can watch those and kind of get a feel for the space. I want to remind you that you'll come to one of these nights as you have, and if your student is interested, if you come to one of these student workshops, both of those events, basically attending this one and one other, the student workshop, I actually nearly guarantee you a spot at the school. We draw, you know, between 50 and 60 folks for the school every year. And those that attend both of those, we've never had to turn away somebody who's attended both of those yet. And I don't think we will this year either. We have, basically the student workshop is a space for them to get an idea of what the projects are like here at the school. Okay. So the only thing that's left for you to do is, of course, ask any questions you're interested in having answered, as well as applying if you haven't already at our website, launch.irondistrict.org. When you get there, there's an enter lottery button, and you just click that and follow the steps. to enter your student in the lottery before February 14th. That's the deadline, Valentine's Day. And then we pull the lottery the next day and you'll get an email notification about where you're at, if you're able to accept the seat or if you're on a wait list. Okay. All right. Questions? What do you got? And like I said before, when we just started, if this is something that would benefit the whole group, let's hear it. We'll give a few minutes for that. And then, if you have other things afterwards that are just more individual to you, you can talk to any of the three of us and we'd be happy to help you. And then we'll take a quick tour here in about 10 or 15 minutes of the building. Okay, yeah, here. Yeah, so based on those 4 pieces that you do, so you're expected to get 80% or higher on each of those. And all 4 of those are averaged to your final grade, meaning your student will be guaranteed an A or B in the classes they take here. Just how long will it take them to get there is kind of the variable. So learning is a little more fixed here. They will learn it. They'll be competent. Will it take them less than a quarter? Will it take them a quarter? Will it take them just a little bit more? We hate to have students go too far. So we try to make sure that everybody gets over the finish line, near the end of the quarter. Good question. Yeah. It does not. It's not. We're not doing any fees next year, are we?
No fees.
No fees either.
You're paying your fee at your boundary school.
Yeah.
Right?
So if you go to your boundary school, you might take a class like a CTE class that has fees or other things, but there's no fees here. There's no application fee. There's no money involved at all, unless you want to give Mr. Schofield a tip. From time to time. Okay, this is recorded meeting. I should stop that. Okay, sorry.
Could I say?
Yeah, go ahead.
For anyone that has questions about eligibility for
Mhm.
sports.
Yes.
Anyone wondering about that?
Yeah, we are.
Can we
Yeah.
go there? Let's ask those questions right now, because I.
Oh, yeah, you have to take off. Sorry, Steve.
What are anyone has?
So she's wanting to try out for the talents. If she attends here, she can still try out and be able to attend all of the, okay, I
Yep.
thought so.
Yep. And on eligibility, do you just want me to speak to it? You'll get a grade at the end of every quarter. If you're not done yet, you'll get a grade as a percentage of what you have completed here. If you haven't completed much of what you're expected to do, then you'll end up with a D or an F, which could impact your eligibility come the end of the quarter. But your quarter grade is fixed at the end of the quarter because that's how all the other boundary schools work. And so that's how athletic eligibility is determined in our district. So regardless of if you can finish it later and ultimately get an A or B in the class because you finished it a week or two later, whatever you finished at the end of the quarter is kind of the pause button for eligibility in our district. And that's how your eligibility is determined, is at that point at the end of the quarter.
So you can attend launch
Mhm.
at Canyon View or Cedar High and still participate in all those extracurriculars. But whenever it is that the athletic director, the person in charge of the boundary school, when they check grades for eligibilities, nothing else matters. Everything we told you, none of it matters. Whatever the grade is, when they check, that's the gospel. So that's what it has to be. Here's another.
Yeah, anything else? Yeah, you have one?
So if they get in the lottery, for their freshman year, are they in it all through
Yeah.
high school?
Yeah, they can stay as long as they would like. Yeah. And if it's not for you, you decide after the first, semester that's not for you, you can also return to your boundary school. That's okay too. That happens sometimes, right? You don't know what you're getting into maybe until you get here. But the reason for these parent nights and for the student workshop is to give you as best an idea of what you are getting into before you get to the point where you're willing to accept a seat or not. So that's part of why we do this. Okay, other questions that might be helpful for the group? Yeah.
How does attending this program affect either positively or negatively
Mhm.
eligibility to get into a university?
Yeah, well, there are a couple positives of being a small school. One is that you're more likely to receive accolades like a valedictorian or salutatorian. So those are nice. The other pieces that kind of align with eligibility or the opportunity to go to a four-year school are that our grades are generally either A or B. So you end up, it might take you a little bit extra time if you're a struggling student to get there, but you're going to get there. And that's kind of a benefit to many of our students. The other piece I would say is we provide some tools that I can talk more with you if you're interested, that allow students to showcase kind of the best work that they do as part of their transcript, which other schools don't offer. So some of their project work and the skills they've learned here, are actually showcased on what's called their mastery transcript, which is a document we send to other schools that is kind of a more prestigious version of a transcript. So hopefully that answers. Yeah, and then back here.
Fire amount of classes they have to set up at school.
They'll take a full schedule. I don't know. You want to speak to that?
So they're gonna take their 4 core classes here, and then they're usually gonna take another 4 full credits in a year at their boundary school in electives. That includes fine arts, CTE classes, yeah. So just the core classes are here, everything else, it's over there.
Or you could
That's
take them
what sometimes
online.
They have a few, like a couple.
You could also take some of those online if you'd prefer. Yeah. Okay, right over here.
What type of project do you do? Like
Yeah. Throw an idea at me. Do you have something that you're into or something you're interested in?
video, like culinary projects?
Yeah, certainly. So we've had students who, we had a student who started like a pancake, what do they call it? Like it was like a robotic pancake maker business. We had others that did confection type stuff like freeze dried candy and all sorts of stuff where they've created businesses out of that or created different ideas based on the needs of people. So I think there's kind of the world is your options when it comes to your project. You decide what you're into, and we'll take you through a process that will guide you through research, empathy research, talking with people, deciding what they'd be interested in, ideation, coming up with lots of ideas and models and predictions, and then ultimately implementing your idea and pitching it to the rest of the world. And that's part of, regardless of what you decide, whether it's culinary or film or whatever, that's the process you'd go through here at the school. So hopefully that answers your question.
The opportunity to take college credit courses,
Uh-huh.
that's only offered after they've completed the high school courses.
Well, there's also concurrent education opportunities as well. So you can take classes concurrently, meaning you'd get both high school and college credit at the same time. And those are offered here at the school as well. Yeah, so both options.
So how many, like, do they do half day here and then half day at boundary school? How does that work?
So they'll do like a full A day here and a full B day at their boundary school or online, or vice versa. So either one of those. Yep.
There's a bus for business here from their boundary.
Yeah,
Like Fridays, is the schedule for each.
yeah, it is. It's similar to the other schools where they've got a shortened schedule. And so we're done, what time? Is it like just after lunch, basically, we're done here? Yeah, so right after the lunch hour, we're done. And so the morning is actually spent a little bit more in your advisory group, working on your projects. We kind of have a bigger focus on projects on Friday because of the shortened schedule. And like on your other days here, you have classes that are offered in the classroom, which I'll show you upstairs here in a minute. But on Friday, it's a little bit more flexible. And it's a little bit more about your project and your advisory time. So good question. Great. Okay, anything else? Yeah, one more. Yeah, students can earn their associate's degree, so they just need to certainly take as many of those college courses as they can here with us. We have a couple of different options, one through SU and another through SEU, which is Southeastern University, that allows students to use a more competency-based approach to their classes, so they can take as many as they're able to in a certain time, whereas SEU is a little more traditional calendar schedule. So we have a couple of different options for students when it comes to that. Great. Well, I'd like to take some of you for a tour of the space, answer some of your questions, get more and more one-on-one time with you. Yeah. Go, yeah, absolutely.
The associate degree, so it is possible for us to help you get your associate degree. Now, it will take a lot of you starting concurrent enrollment classes at 9th grade level. You can definitely get something called certificate from SU, which are 30 credits. You knock out 2 years of, not 1 full year of college out. Now, that's a certificate. There is this associate degree, which is 65 credits. It is possible. I try to always help you do the certificate just because you have other requirements, which are the basic requirements you need in schools. So it is a little bit different than Success. I think you're asking because of Success Academy, and Success Academy have a different curriculum built in since the 9th grade. Okay, but also they have 3 or 4 hours of homework every day. So it is, I mean, it is possible. I always try to help you guys with the certificate, and then we'll talk about. a
Yeah, you start with
certificate
something
after
like working on your first few college courses and see how they go, and you can move as quickly as you're able to after that. Yeah,
that. So just to clarify a little bit of
yeah,
that part.
good question, or good clarification.
I also want to say before we break that some students have a misconception about the school, that you can work at your own pace. To be interpreted as
I can go as slow as I want
Yeah,
or
whatever.
not do anything
I
for,
can come and hang out here on an open campus and no one's gonna harass me about getting work done. Not true.
we're gonna be there with you.
You have to work, it's actually a fast-paced school, it moves quickly. So you have to, I mean, we tell kids, if you have, what did I say, 20 tests that you have to do here, 20 deliverables, to pass all of your 4 classes, that's like 1 deliverable a day that you're on. So you have to move quickly. If you come to school and you don't take a test on that day, that means the next day you're taking 2. And if you don't, then I'm your buddy. And we're talking about how the school.
How we can
doesn't
help
work
you,
for
yeah, yeah. No, it certainly is one of those things that you need to be on top of your work, and our coaches and advisors are here to help you with that, but it's one of those things that is something that you need to be aware of. This idea of working at your own pace isn't maybe what it's cracked up to be, so in essence, one of the things that is nice about it, that is flexible, is if you decide that you can move faster in, let's say, math, and you need a little bit more time in your language arts, that can be done easily. You can say, hey, I'm gonna knock out my math the first couple weeks of school. And over the next 6 weeks of the quarter, I'm gonna have extra time to work on my language arts. That's totally doable, which is a nice thing. But to just say like, I'm just gonna take it easy for a while and not do much is gonna be problematic
You
for.
can't do that for every class. It would be like one
Mhm,
class and you're working like a dog.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I'd like to do is take you through the school. For those who want to avoid the first crowd, I'll just play a couple videos here for you. And otherwise, we can have you come up. And for those who are on Zoom, if you haven't already put your name and your student's name rather in the chat, and that would be helpful for us to make sure you get credit for being here tonight. Thank you. And we'll take folks through. You feel free to watch the video. Hey, you can follow me up to the rest of school. This is of course the lodge.
I've heard a lot that you have to be super smart to even watch. Some people think you come here and all your coursework is on Canvas. So they're like, you're just online in a building.
I think that it's just a school that we just sit around and lounge around most of the time.
I haven't heard it.
Weird question. Lodge High School is a personalized school, a school that works with students to not only personalize their pace, and how they access the curriculum, but also personalize to their interests based around the projects that they do. It can be a good program, I think, for both for kids who excel and who can go at an accelerated pace. But I think it might be helpful for some kids who need a little bit different learning experience that might be able to reach them a little better.
The curriculum is online, the kids can access it independently, but they have a lot of support in place as they're going through their days. Every day they have support and help whenever they need it.
One of the things that I think is critical for students to learn is the ability to be self-directed and self-motivated. I can think of no better place for students to learn those skills than lunch, or that are coming up with their own projects. It's really critical for students entering higher education.
You got to choose to do the work yourself. You're not going to be coddled or told, to do this, and this. You've got to, motivate yourself. You've got to push forward by yourself. And it's a really good challenge for me as a procrastinator. I need to study. I need to get my work done in my time, which has been really great for me.
You have to learn these things, and when you're done, you move on, and the kids know what they need to do, and so they do it. And they know that they have to work and they get to work, and they know they need help, so they ask for help. They want to help.
Opportunity and you get to work with people outside of the school and just like people are and
One of the other things we really appreciate about lunch, make sure there's students
Collaboration. I think it's.
It's helpful just to spend like 2 years ago, I went to everything and everything I wanted to go into politics. And so I.
Really excited about it. They weren't really sure about it, but they going there, but as the year progressed, actually.
It's not always a little bit of a question mark. But I think to watch her just realize some next level both in enthusiasm for school, enthusiasm for life, just the excitement that she has when she comes to lunch and knows that her heartbeat.
It's excellent encouragement from the students, it's encouraged for us as teachers. And nothing to experience as parents to say, I'm gonna step out of this traditional role and see how this goes. And so, for me as a teacher, that's a little bit, I want to make sure that we're doing a job. So,
It's all right. It's all right.
Basically, I'm doing the boat, you know, the time for the work and how we go.
I'm like, I don't like when the start beginning.
It restarted, I'm sorry. Guys, the sound is horrible. Oh my God, how you doing?